ist das neue Polestar headquartered?
Ja, gleiches Design, aber 5-mal so groß.
How are you?
Hey, Chris.
Good to see you.
Nice.
Hey. This looks so fresh. It's very, very nice.
Crisp.
Crisp. That's probably the right word. It's very, very crisp. Wow, it's got
Polestar.
pretty beefy haunches over the rear. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the trick about it. It's very simple in its construction, but quite dramatic in all
Anyway, yeah. When you
shapes.
look from this view,
I
it's
have to
very
say, in
dramatic.
person it looks a lot more sculptural than on the photos. The photos look very graphic and striking and clean, and then in person you realize there's a lot of shape going on.
This is quite interesting. We're here in Sweden, and we were both aiming to go to the Geneva Motor Show with fully 4-seater cars, with no B-pillars and integrated seat belts in the front seats. There's something in the water in Sweden.
Ja.
Totally, no? You could probably write a long description of basically fitting both cars
Right.
and have covered 80% of the product, and it sounds the same, but then
But then they, of course, appears very, very different. The flavor is completely different, but fantastic in their own rights.
that's not so bad.
Graceful.
That's pretty elegant, yeah.
Well, of course, you dive in quite deep
I'll take
into
it.
it.
Yes, you're pretty
Wow.
centrally not so subtle.
Well, subtle is not your business, really, is it?
Maybe not. It's a camera up here.
Yeah, so this is the camera for the rear view. You don't have a rear window.
Oh, right. Oh, yes.
Oh, that is
That's a cool trick.
Yeah, when you do 3D knitting normally, what happens is that you
anyone.
I think they look okay.
Yeah, I agree.
You make me curious.
We're
Next
up
time
to
you meet at
We-
your place.
Exactly. We do have a shared background, Thomas, at working on different kinds of projects in our other career experiences. So it wasn't always hypercars.
No, that's true.
So would you call this something like new edge, or it's a little bit edgy, I guess, or?
Well, for us, it's Scandinavian minimalism.
Right.
We clearly go out and promote that as much as we build global cars, but we have a very clear Scandinavian design link. And I mean, you mentioned the when we talked about the Polestar 1, the P1800, and to me that type of, okay, you do of course a design which is globally understandable, but it has this slightly understated, slightly modest way of making really subtle, great design. I think that's very much.
The P1800 has really survived extremely well.
Yeah.
It's just an iconic looking car today. I mean, it's great.
I also like the word that Thomas just used when he said modest. I think there's something there that is very powerful, that there's no need to scream, you know what I mean? That there's also, like, what I'm always trying to do is find an appropriate aesthetics for the product, you know, it really has to fit. Like, the car is not what's on the outside, but what's on the inside. The outside is just there to communicate, you know, be the first thing that people meet. But I think the Scandinavian roots, totally different in terms of form language, but something about the modesty is like hitting home for me, that it's not trying too hard.
Yeah, I think when many people see this car, they think, oh, it's pretty aggressive and a powerful stance and so on, but it's more in its proportions than its actual design language. If you look at the lamps, if they're eyes, they're actually quite I should say sensual, almost, not more than aggressive. But
no, it doesn't try to be wild
or angry for angry's sake. It's more the stance that gives the character than
the proportions.
Yeah.
But of course, it's so rich in technology and amazing features. I mean, that's basically why Sascha was a perfect fit as well for Koenigsegg, because that is how you do design. You really look at what is under the skin and bring that alive.
For Polestar now to exist as a new brand from Sweden, if someone would have said that like 10 years ago, really? And I mean, you see all these other startup companies in California and so on. I think the big boys are starting to feel this is actually for real, and it's a changing landscape, and being a huge behemoth is not necessarily such a big advantage anymore as it used to be. So I think the future landscape will be very, very interesting, where the small boys like us or others learn how to do it for real and then kind of challenge the status quo.
You don't need 100 years of experience to get
Well,
to
you
such
kind
a
of
thing.
lean on that, of course, from what they did and how they brought us here, but I think it's in anything. When it goes really, really big for a very, very long period of time, nature makes this kind of scenario happen always. And that's just the way of things.
Yeah, that's evolution.
Yeah. I find it strange that no one else wanted to do something of this nature. Of course, you have examples in the 80s, Ferraris and Lamborghinis, that were of this kind of idea. Also mid-engine four-seaters, kind of reasonably spacey four-seaters. And then they disappeared. Maybe they were a little bit too early.
But don't you think that until this point, basically the drivetrain was fighting with the interior?
Probably more so, yeah. They didn't have the freedom we have, of course.
The mid-engine layout,
transversal, and then
and
you have this kind of shunting, and yeah, could be.
This is the first time that we can actually, first of all, spread apart the drivetrain into different corners of the car.
Right, yeah, it's all spread out. That's what enables that kind of shape, I would say. The short overhangs, the big interior in the middle.
It's probably one of the most efficient packages. Yeah, I mean, it's so dense and
it's
tight.
difficult to get your hand in down there. I know you had a similar story with the Bugatti. You couldn't put your hand
Chiron
on.
was quite packed, but this was a next level.
Cool.
I'm excited to see what's in store for you guys. What are your next steps?
Well, unload the boats
That's
and
a
bring
good
the
plan.
Polestar 2 to the people.
That's next step, yeah.
That's the next step. No, that's of course, Polestar Space is opening, one here in Gothenburg, one in Stockholm, and in all the major cities in the world. And that would be for us, I mean, such a major job to, you know, become that operational. That our next product is ready designed in a way.
Okay.
As clear. It's just that, of course, just like you, I mean, we have as well still then 2 years ahead till that one will hit the road.
And how do you like the transition from being like head of design for a large car company and now running your own? Is that I guess it's quite a different scope of challenges. And is it what you expected it to be, or?
Much better.
No, I have to say that the principle of what you do, that you basically try to drive things and steer them in the right direction, is the same.
Right.
The only thing that I really miss is being in a design studio and having that visual break of just simply being there.
But I guess you
Peaceful
still get
cars.
involved. You can't avoid of getting involved in that area.
Exactly.
More than a normal CEO would be, I guess. It's in
With
your
the
DNA.
design, more than Max likes it, yes.
Nice way to put it. Maybe Max should answer this question.
It's great because we don't have much. We don't need to communicate much to understand each other, and that's I think a difference. I mean, I have not worked directly for another CEO that was not a designer, so but I see what happens, and what happens is that there's a lot of misunderstanding, or you need to really convince. Sure. You need to convince as well a lot people to do what you think is right, and we have a sort of understanding from the past, so that makes my life easier in a way. But then of course we have our discussions, because even in our world the tastes are not always 100% aligned.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the first examples of a designer becoming a CEO of a car company.
Well, it makes our company as well special.
Sure, you can see it's very much driven. I mean, everything you do from an outside look looks very well thought out, and from a visual impression way than most other car companies, I would say.
And I truly believe that is a standalone aspect of our company. And I think as well that a certain understanding of what you actually product-wise want to do is easier for somebody with my background to see than for somebody who has a background in financing.
Right.
So that's where...
Exactly, that's true. I think from our way of doing things, it's always from the point of, I would say, excitement and efficiency of some sort. Efficiency of, power to weight ratio, aerodynamics, but these things mean nothing if there is no excitement. So always combining those elements. Profit is not even a considered factor. If we do a good job, someone wants it, we can hopefully charge enough to be allowed to make the next one. But it's never a driving force, I think. I've been actually sometimes, questioning myself, why do I spend so much time and energy to build these insane objects for the rich few? And I come to the realization that it started when I was a kid, when I saw these cars myself. I couldn't afford them or anything, and they drive on the road. Wow, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I want to be somehow a part of it. I want to do that. I wanted to be with that entity, completely irrationally, of course, but it just drew me in. And now I realize that the reason why we're doing this is not to supply a few people with extreme cars. It's to show the world that you can fulfill your dreams. And we keep on getting emails and messages on a weekly basis saying, for example, like this: I'm not even interested in cars, but I saw what you did and you had no chance and you did it anyway because you believed in your dream. So I went out and did this and I succeeded. And I just want to thank you for letting me believe in my dreams. So I think that is the multiplying factor of what we're doing. That is much bigger than the few cars we produce, that we allow people to realize you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And that is maybe something that actually can help the society as a whole much more than that these objects might stay in time for a long period of time and be worshipped in themselves. So, that's how I motivate myself.
I think that was a cool final word, Christian. Awesome. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks,
Shall
guys.
we wrap it up? And
Absolutely. Time to head home, hit the highway. Or maybe some fun roads on the way.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Better than highways.
Maybe I get to drive a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
was that the deal?
It's a deal.
There's no deal.
Right.
I think it's really cool to show the world what happens in Sweden, right?
Sweden's
It's
awesome.
where things happen.
Yeah, it's where things happen, where the sun always shines
Exactly.
and we run around in t-shirts.
That's it.
I'm taking one photo from here. You guys smile? Yeah, that's a good one.